Hey everybody. So recently as I've made it aware, been doing a lot of front end development, and this is kind of the culmination of that, which is getting out extensions in this particular instance. And then so far I've built out four extensions, and I have two submitted to the Google Play Store. And then the two are one is going to for sure die in development, and then one is more for kind of like for personalized for a client. And then so highlighting up front, the big thing is that like everything that I develop, I know this going in up front is not going to make it like towards the end result, right? There's going to be some that's going to fail along the way for whatever reasons that these individual plugins fail for. But so in this instance, I've developed at this point, like I said, four plugins. And then starting off with how I went about developing these extensions and kind of that process. So I've said for a while, I've been a big fan of for a while of utilizing LLM models to help you with coding and like learning to code in the age of LLM models, right? I've talked about this a lot. And then kind of it's one thing to talk about it and another thing to like dive into it. So this is kind of a culmination of that, again, like an example of going through that for you. So within that, kind of to me, it's you utilize the LLM model to work on your syntax, right? So if the LLM model can handle let's say it's JavaScript. There's lots of like semicolons and brackets and different types of things that you need to be aware of when it comes to JavaScript and like spacing, tabbing, things like that, right? And then my kind of big focus is like let the LLM model take care of those things of that, and then you understand kind of like the bigger picture and like understand like the bigger problems that are occurring in the code, and then so how this works for me. And then so going through this now, so essentially how I go through this is no matter what the programming language is, whether it's front end, back end, etc. You start off with like kind of like no familiarity whatsoever with the language, right? Like it's like, oh, this is kind of all foreign and new to me. And here's a perfect example, right? So what we're looking at here is how I built out a lot of these plugins, right? And then in this, you have what I know now is that you have like the same general structure for all these plugins, no matter what. You'll have the manifest.json, options.html, options.js, background.js, popup.html, and popup.js. And these will be typical across like any app that you're going to use or develop for as far as extensions. And then I understand as a bigger picture how exactly and why exactly this works in this way, right? So the manifest file is essentially like the like record of everything, right? Like here's like the summation of exactly what this is. The options are very straightforward, right? And then so with each and every one, they're split into HTML and JS or JavaScript, and that makes sense to me as well, right? Because HTML is like for your more basic things, like for anything that's like you want to create like a front end, like a website, like an interface, right? And then so I know that from 20 years ago, and then so that's very straightforward to me. And then anything that like I actually like want it to actually do, like let's say that I wanted to make API calls, I wanted to function with an application, I wanted to do a function, I'm going to use JavaScript for that, right? Because HTML is not going to do and handle that. And I know these things because again of like 20 years of experience with those things in particular, right? And then so it's to me this is the main and big breakthrough when it comes to LLM models is that, right? Because so I can take and know and understand and have that upfront knowledge and a lot of this knowledge, but not understand the full syntax of it. So in the like with the manifest file, right? Like see that there's two brackets that end the file. Not knowing that there should be two brackets there. Like if it were Python, right? Like or another language, there'd probably be one bracket there, and then you'd be like, so, like really weird that there's in some instances that there's two brackets at the end. And then so what happens to me is you understand kind of the theory behind the languages, and you go through and you're able to build, which means that you can pick up these individual languages easier, which means that I can do things like build out extensions easier. And then as you go through, you start understanding and looking at this syntax over and over again. And then through repetition, you start to actually understand the syntax itself. And then you go through, and then maybe you're editing this manifest file, and then you copy and you delete something, and you see that there's the 2 brackets there, and then instead of removing the extra bracket and saying, oh, that's an extra bracket, and then having to deal with errors from that, you leave it in there, or you notice that it's missing, or you notice that there's an error in the code, a small error, etc. Like you start to like realize that you're picking up on these individual things, and it makes it more interesting as you go through it. And then so to me, that world did not exist pre-LLM, right? It was like Stack Overflow, things like that. Like it's not the same as having an LLM model right beside you as you go through these things. So now that I've gone through that, let me go through the kind of the full process here. So essentially, it's very straightforward. Again, you're going to have these individual files, and then you save these individual files as a folder, and then you just go to, in this instance, Chrome extensions. So you can see here, it's just the Chrome and then extensions in the URL bar there. And then you can see on the top right-hand side, I've got developer mode turned on. So that's the very first thing that you want to do, because you'll have developer mode turned off. So then turn developer mode on, and then that will give you these options that you see here, that you see on my screen, which are load unpacked and pack extension. And then from there, you just load unpacked. You just grab your file, right? And then so it's here, click here to load unpacked. It's going to take a second to load. And then I'm literally just going to, it's literally files, right? And then so text logic analyzer, I'm just gonna, so I won't select that because I already have it here. But then so I upload it, and then I'll either get errors or not errors, right? And then so text logic analyzer, we can see that it doesn't error. And then text logic analyzer is very straightforward. Here's the extension itself, and then essentially it this, I'll show you exactly what this does. So this is a bad sentence. Awesome. And then so kind of awesome. And then so what this does is it's a analyzer, and then so it analyzes whether or not a claim is being made, and then whether or not it's like the claim, or it has a warrant behind it. And then so in this instance, it's not detecting that the first sentence is a claim, but it is detecting that the second sentence is a warrant. So this is a bad extension. It's a bad extension and needs work because I created it, I guess would be kind of what this ends with, or what we're looking at here. But you can see that the extension, it works overall, right? This is what I wanted. So with this one, what I wanted was a extension that doesn't make external calls specifically, was my goal. And then so this is utilizing just like math and all logic built within JavaScript. Because, and then I did this very specifically because the very first one that, the very first extension that I built out was this like Eli 5 web extension, this one here. And then for this specifically relies on Anthropic. You have to put in your Anthropic key, and then you save it, and then it will summarize the page, right? And then so what the goal is that it will Eli-fy the page. And then so if I was on this page and I put in my API, my Anthropic API key, and then I hit the summarize page button, it would automatically go through and then explain exactly what's going on this page to anyone that wouldn't have any information. It would say, hey, this is a page of Google extensions, and whatever it gives you as far as the background on that. And then so these are kind of just, this is the apps that I've created, right? And then so are the extensions that I've created, and then so and what they do. And then so from here, the extensions, I want to actually get them onto, so in this mode, I can use them, and I can use them from this account, and I can use them in developer mode, but no one else can use them. You can't use them or see them. And then so from here, I need to go over to essentially the Chrome Web Store, which we're looking at here. And then from here, I can actually submit them into the Chrome Web Store. I just hit new item, and then I can submit, and then you can see I've submitted the two Chrome extensions that I just showed you to Google, and then interesting note, and then really it's a good feature overall. So the text logic analyzer was I submitted it and then it was denied because of the fact that I asked for a permission that I didn't need in my manifest file, and then so. Going back here, I had a permission that I was here it is permissions. See how this one asks for permission active tab for the email review helper, and this one actually needs it, whereas text logic analyzer doesn't need that active tab permission. But I asked for it anyway, and then so Google rejected it because it said, hey, you're asking for a permission that you don't need and you're not utilizing it within the app. And then so best practice is to always ask for as little permissions as you need. So it rejected it, and then so I had to resubmit. But so other than that, though, it's a real straightforward process. When you hit new item, there's you have to have you see like icons, and then there'll be some details that you need to fill out about the app, which is cool because it prevents like spamming of extensions. And then I think like it gives it an extra layer, because once you figure out this part, this is actually easy. And then, I mean, this might look kind of difficult if you don't know exactly what you're doing with the code, but this is like straightforward, right? Like this is, at this point, I've built out 4 of them, right? Because it's overall the same process: manifest, options on HTML, options.js, popup.html, popup.js, and then oftentimes like background.js or something else that you need with it, right? And then very straightforward. It makes sense to me exactly how all of that works, and then why you need all of that in there and how all of it individually functions. And it's just real straightforward. And then again, once you do it, it's just a matter of having the ideas for what you should do within this. Like if you go to the extension store, there's a whole bunch of apps that are like, here's GPT in your browser, here's like Claude in your browser, here's Gemini in your browser, and then like, because that's the easiest thing to think of. And then, but once you get beyond that, there's not a lot, because it's like it's harder to go beyond that. Like, and on the back end, that's just making an API call, which again shows you how straightforward and simple these extensions are. So I understand why it's popular now to build these up. I'll definitely build out more extensions, and then maybe perhaps I'll make more videos going over them, and then perhaps like a more in-depth tutorial on extensions overall. But so if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.